Analysts have seen a jump in NASCAR betting since online betting began in North Carolina on March 11. Since a 2018 U.S. Supreme Court ruling made gambling a states' rights issue, 38 states and the District of Columbia have legalized sports betting, and NASCAR knows if it wants to use it to attract new fans it must capitalize during the NFL's off-season. When we get to September, October, November, we're competing against football, which we know is by far the most popular sport to bet on, says Joe Salaski, NASCAR's managing director sports betting. So, the prime months for us to capitalize on the general sports betting audience, not just the NASCAR fan, is from now through August. That's where we saw a lot of the growth last year, from the month of May to August. Salaski noted that in the first 2 months of the 2024 season betting on NASCAR was up 50%, which he described as really impactful for the sport. States like Mississippi, Nevada and New York have tripled their volume on NASCAR year over year, which is really impressive, Salaski says. Online betting began in North Carolina on March 11, 2024. Sportsbook advertisements air constantly on various television stations in the Charlotte, North Carolina, area where most of the NASCAR teams are based, as well as the NASCAR Hall of Fame and the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame. Depending on the sportsbook, North Carolina is either the first, second or fourth biggest state in terms of NASCAR betting volume in the first month of legalization, which is really impressive, Salaski says. For it to be a top 5 state for those sportsbooks, shows that the North Carolina effect is real. Having a large fan base here, North Carolina, leads to more engagement in the sport. I think the growth that we're seeing this year is partly North Carolina legalizing, even if it's just 3 weeks of numbers that we have. I think it's more the sportsbooks investing more resources into the sport and offering more options for people to wager on NASCAR. Depending on the sportsbook, their offerings on NASCAR have increased anywhere from 10 to 50%. However, NASCAR didn't see a growth in betting on the Daytona 500 this year, and Salaski admitted that's something that kind of puzzled us. It's an interesting part of the sports calendar where people have been betting on football for the last 5 months of the year, Salaski explains. It's the first Sunday without football, and a lot of books it's like their first week off after working 24 weeks in a row on this one sport. This is one thing we have to work on with our sportsbook partners next year, to make sure they capitalize on our biggest event of the year. Salaski says the incremental growth the sport has seen since the Daytona 500 is on par with new states legalizing sports betting. He said growth was stagnant from 2022 to 2023 because the offering for NASCAR was similar.